Ladies and gentlemen, we are so grateful that you could join us today. As we see, we are so happy that we can reach into your living rooms and just teach you the Word of God. We are the Faith Crusaders. We reveal Christ-like attitudes of awakening, that as you walk, as you talk, and as you do your things, Christ will be revealed in you. Christ will be revealed in so many other people by the things that He's doing in your life. We are so delighted and grateful that you could take this time to join us. And we are hoping to have a great show this moment of the day. I'm joined by my amicus curia. He's going to introduce himself, and then we're going to proceed. My brother.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
Introduce yourself.
They could have probably forgotten my name.
Absolutely.
Because the last couple of shows, my friend, it was just about you. Because you have forgotten my name. Bernard Mushiri Kanuki. I am still born again. I love the Lord saving me. And we are the Faith Crusaders. We feel Christ-like. God bless you so much.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah.
And William Oidaka is my name. And I love the Lord. He's my friend. If you need to know about anything about it, just contact us in our inbox and we'll let you know more about it.
You know, before you proceed, we have a theme about the people. I want to see Jesus. And somebody was preaching and was asking, if you look at your name, can you see Jesus in there?
That's a good question. Kindly ask yourself that. If people look at me, can they see me Jesus? I was actually talking to some men yesterday, and I was telling them that Paul was writing to the Philippians, the church in Philippi, and in chapter 4, from verse 6 to 9, he talks about rejoice in the Lord. Do not be anxious about anything. Verse 8, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure. But verse 9 says, the things you have seen, the things you've heard, the things that the things you've seen, you have heard, the things you've seen me do likewise.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be the question that I was trying to ask this young man. Can you actually say the same? That the things people have seen in you, they've heard from you, and the things they've seen you do, can you tell others to do it? Anyway, that's not the debate and the discussion we are having today. We are continuing with this discussion of spiritual warfare, and we've tackled so much on prayer because we believe that is the foundation of spiritual warfare. That you can never approach the enemy. You can never go to that battlefield without receiving orders from the commander. And we receive orders. We are told what to do, when to do, how to do it in the place of prayer. And we've really touched on prayer so much that if you have any questions, just watch our previous videos. You will be enlightened and you'll be grateful also to hear from you. And today I want us to just shift a bit. I know we touched on it last time, and I want us to talk about fasting in a nutshell. Because there was this man in the book of Mark chapter 9, he went to Jesus because his son was, he was affected by these demons. And the man reported to Jesus and said, I brought my son to your disciples that they may heal him. But they couldn't. And Jesus told the disciples, how long will I stay with you, O ye of little faith? And after Jesus cast the demon out, they went with the disciples, and the disciples asked him in private, why couldn't we cast out the demons? And they said, number one, it's out of your little faith. But number two is because this comes out only by prayer and fasting. And today we want to talk about fasting in the very wide angle that the Spirit of God will lead us. And first of all, I would like to ask, because so many people will say they are fasting, but from your own understanding, what is fasting? In so many people's lives, they will tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. They'll say they are fasting, but from your own biblical perspective, how can you explain fasting?
Fasting, we can actually record this from the Bible. When Jesus Christ, after his baptism, he went to the desert where he stayed there for 40 days in the wilderness, for 40 days and 40 nights, where he fasted and prayed. And this is where he encountered the devil who was trying to tempt him. And therefore, Jesus Christ, the fasting that Jesus Christ was engaged in was of not eating and not drinking anything. So this is what Jesus Christ was doing. And then we come and find the Pharisees, they ask the Jesus Christ, why do your disciples not fast? Because the people they were always eating and drinking. So that is where they were asking, how comes your disciples do not fast? And Jesus Christ responded and said, so long as
They are with the bride.
they cannot,
bridegroom.
yes, they cannot fast. So but when it goes, they can fast. So fasting basically is all about denying yourself whatever feeds this physical body that we can see.
Very true.
Yeah.
From the examples that you've given from the Bible, I don't see anywhere Jesus fasted from other things. It was just, I would say, it is, as you've said, it is denying, it is abstaining. Let's
Yes.
just use that one.
Yes.
It is abstaining from foodstuffs and drinks
Yes.
that feed this body.
Yeah.
What about those people who say, I've not been in the internet for 2 weeks, I've not been in TV for 1 week, for 3 days, I've never watched my soap opera, I just want, but they are still eating, they're still drinking, their stomach are, there's something that you said that last time, I don't
You
remember.
fast what's up?
With a full stomach.
Yes, you're fasting what's up?
Yeah, there are people who say that. In a nutshell, can we really call that fasting?
No, not really. Actually, there's this time in my home church before one Ash Wednesday. Any Ash Wednesday when, or the washing of the disciples of the feet. I can't remember the service exactly. So we really talked about fasting, and there's a whole misconception about fasting, where you're told you can fast something that you like. But I think that is just about disciplining yourself and getting yourself off the comfort zone, or denying yourself the thing that you really like and you really love, just to get discipline. Because, for example, if you take too much soda, it will become harmful to your health. Not harmful in a bad way, but it is not healthy to take a lot of soda. So you can say, hey, by the way, let me ease down on the consumption of soda. If it is, for example, like WhatsApp, if I'm always on WhatsApp, like I don't even have time for my family, then I need to lay down on the I say I will not be using WhatsApp for the whole of this week. That is not fasting. It is just a matter of setting it aside to sort out some things that maybe may be corrupted because of engaging too much in being on WhatsApp for long. So that is not fasting in any kind of way. Fasting, like what we have said, is food and water. Anything that goes in to feed and give this body strength and energy.
That's very true. I totally agree with you. I asked an influential spiritual leader, and I asked him, what would you define fasting as? And that person told me that I would define fasting as the afflicting of the soul. You afflict the soul by making it suffer from the things it desires the most. And number one is food. Number two is the drinks, the waters, and all these things. And so many other times when we silence the desires of the flesh through afflicting it, we are in a position to tune in to what God has and wants us to receive from Him.
Yeah.
And that should be the sole reason of fasting. If you're fasting because of other things, then you will miss the mark, because at the end of the day, we desire to hear what is God saying about 1, 2, 3 situation. What is God's concern about whatever is happening in my life? And in the place of fasting, it is where our spiritual antennas now get pulled up.
Yeah.
Because you have afflicted the soul, you have denied the flesh, and now it is suppressed. The flesh and its desires are suppressed, so that now the spirit and his desires are lifted up and are brought out so well that we can hear what God is saying. And I agree with you, because most people will say, I've fasted from WhatsApp, the phone, the computer, and all these things. But I like the way you put it. That is just para discipline. I remember one day in my office, the previous place of work, I called a friend of mine, my colleague, and I called him Jaramba. I told him, from today henceforth, I'll not do Facebook. And I was with him there, and I closed my account, my Facebook account. I closed it. And I stayed out of Facebook for around 5 or 6 years. Never thought about it. I wouldn't consider that as fasting.
That's not fasting.
I wouldn't fast from Facebook.
Actually, there's something that has come to my mind. Even for the ones that are married, abstaining from sex is not fasting. But the word of God says that you should not deny each other. But when you are in prayer and fasting.
Yes.
So that is just something that goes in hand with prayer and fasting. So prayer and fasting will go hand in hand with other activities that you can do to enhance fasting, like abstaining from sex with your spouse, or the other things that will make you
Now the computer,
the WhatsApp,
yes,
all those other things. Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
There are people who are asking. There are people who will fast for 5 days without water and without food. I can't even go for 3 hours without thinking about my body and its desires. And they will kind of tend and ask themselves, will really God hear my prayer? Because I'm looking at this spiritual leader up there. He's talking about how he fasted for 40 days and all these things, but I can't even go for 1 hour. How effective is fasting from a personal perspective?
Well, we are all on different levels. And like what you quoted when you were beginning, when Jesus Christ told the disciples, some demons can only come out by prayer and fasting. It does not mean because people cannot be fasting that God does not hear nor answer their prayers. God still hears and answers their prayers. But now there are other prayers that you need to deny yourself for them to work effectively. For you to stand and rebuke a demon, and not all demons are the same, and not all spirits are the same, they all have rankings. You need to go to another level. So that is why now you have to engage now in fasting for you to be able to command things in the spiritual realm.
There is this person who is asking themselves right now, I've never fasted. Where do I begin? What would you advise such a person? Because I remember the first time I fasted, it was from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I tell you, at 5:50, I was on my watch. I was on my watch like, wait a minute, waiting for 6 to hit so that I can go to the nearest hotel and fill myself with these delicacies. There is another guy who came on to visit us, and he told us that when the father fasted between morning and evening, during the evening time, he would take breakfast, lunch, and now the supper. So this person is asking, I have never even tried to deny myself anything so that I can be in a position to seek God. Where do I begin?
One, it would be advisable to start. You cannot just get off food and drinks just like that, especially if your body is used to it. So probably you can start by drinking fluids and avoiding hard food. So you can take in fluids during the day, and not in so much in large quantities, just minimal, just to keep your body going. And then in the evening, if it is about kujifungua, don't kula everything that you were supposed to eat during the day now. Then that will make you after fasting you will fast, because after you have fasted, it is supposed to strengthen you spiritually. So if you have fasted and then you have now start eating and recovering all that you had, then it's like you exonerate whatever achievement you had. There was a time I was working in South B, and there was this lady. She was Muslim. During a time when is it Ramadan?
Yeah,
so
I think so.
In the office, they were supposed to be given lunch money. So I don't know what was happening, but this girl was not getting her lunch money. So later on, she came to realize, mimi sijakuwa nikipewa pesa za lunch, and she was fasting during that period. And so she was told, when she learned that she was supposed to be getting her money, she went to the boss and asked, me, I've not been receiving my money. So the boss was like, Sawa basi, we'll count the number of days you have not been given and we're going to give it to you. And the boss advised her, if you take this money and use it or buy something from it, then all the days that you are fasting zitakani kama ulikuwa tu unajitesa tu. Take this money and give it away. Do not use it for your own gain. So the hours that we have fasted, it should be an appreciation that, hey, by the way, you manage to fast the whole day. So in the evening, when the evening comes, just take something little, something small, for you not to be able to exonerate what you had. And also when you have fasted for many days, ukifungua, you don't now start eating all the heavy. You go slowly.
Kula nyama kwa butchery.
No, utaanguka hapo. Utaanguka hapo.
That's very true, because let me just enlighten you on this as our listener. When you're fasting, that is when you meet all the generous people to buy you food.
Yes.
that's
Ndio nasikianga kanyama kananuka mahali na njaa.
We are sharing this because we've been affected in one way or another, and we would like you to rise above whatever things that we succumbed to during fasting. And they made us weak, and they made us question the validity of God. They made us blame ourselves. We don't want you to blame yourself after a period of fasting and then you think, wow, I have nullified everything. It all takes the heart that you have in fasting. And there is one thing that I'll also add on to. As much as I would love to start fasting, what is the driving force behind your fasting? Because I remember one day in nearby my home, these guys came and opened a bar just next to my home. And the sad thing is that the bar was just next to the fence, and the fence was just next to my small house. So at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, these guys would play loud music. And as a believer, I asked myself, who is in control?
Yeah.
Who is in control here? So I decided these are the things that are not just taken away by prayer. I need to get into fasting.
Yeah.
So the noise and the grievances that I would follow, going to work and I'm still sleepy, I didn't have good rest. These were the driving force that made me go into fasting, real fasting. And I prayed and I fasted and I cast that spirit of the bar out of that place. And today I can assure you the bar no longer exists.
Sure.
So fasting bears fruit. You don't have to, it may be a long-term thing that you are fasting for. It may be a short-term thing that you're fasting for. But at the end of the day, fasting will always bear fruit. He has told us so well that fasting, when you're beginning to fast, start a little. Don't, and number two, let me just say this, don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah, true.
Because when you're different levels, when you start comparing yourself with your pastor, that my pastor said he fasted for 5 days without food, and you just go for 1 day and you feel like falling down, please go and take something. Yeah, please go and eat. You are not him. All right. And that's the sad thing, because so many people will never get the fruits of fasting because they nullified whatever they did in fasting because they thought I should fast like so and so.
Yeah.
I should have influence and impact like so and so. But fasting keeps on growing and growing. It is a pattern that you will keep increasing. Fast today for 1 day, not even 1 day. Fast for 1 minute. Just say I will not take breakfast. And when the morning comes, just don't take breakfast, and don't take breakfast and think about eating. Don't take breakfast and start praying, because that's another challenge. Because you'll not take breakfast and then you start thinking, well, kale ka sausage ningekakula kangeniona, But at the end of the day, fasting really bears fruits. In the Bible, there are several types of fasts that are clearly stipulated. Would you like sharing some of those things? Fasting.
Like fasting, like what we talked about food and drinks.
Yes.
I think majorly it's all about when we deny ourselves when we abstain, like the term that you used, abstaining ourselves from certain things. We have like this guy is called Daniel.
Daniel, yes.
Daniel fasted for 21
21
days.
days.
And there's this other time when before they were selected, maybe I can call it a fast, because this guy, he told the one who was in charge of looking at them that he should feed them with water
And veggies.
So they denied themselves with all the good things in that.
The Bible calls them delicacies.
The delicacies, you know, the meat, the wine, all those. They denied and abstained themselves from all that, and they chose to eat greens and vegetables and water. So we can maybe highlight that of Daniel when he fasted for 21 days.
That one is a very good thing. You can select some foodstuffs.
Yeah.
That you'll say, from today for the next 5 or 7 or whichever period you will set, I will not take these foods. Daniel talks about delicacies, the meat, the wine, and all these things. You can say that. There is Esther. Esther, or in the book of Esther, she fasted for 3 days.
For 3 days.
And she, not actually her alone.
Her maidens, the whole tribe.
Yes.
He told them to fast for 3 days. No water, no food for 3 days.
And if you go ahead and read the book of Esther, you will understand the impact that later on followed the fast. Because number one, she was in a position, even though no one dared to enter into the presence of the king, but because she was confident of the work that she had done in fasting for those 3 days, she said, whether I die, I die. But I am going into the presence of the king, because fasting will open doors that no one knew that they would actually exist. So don't dare give up. That's the theologians will call the Daniel fast a partial fast, whereby you are abstaining from certain foods. And that one of Esther, they call it dry fast.
Yes.
Because you have not taken anything, you're just afflicting your soul to the fullest, whereby you need God to intervene and do something. And as I said and I asked, what is the driving force behind the fasting?
Exactly.
Because when you look at Esther, they were in the verge of being annihilated by this guy. And Mordecai was there, and she told Esther, just because you're in the king's house does not mean that they will not come for you there because you are a Jew. Because Haman, I think was his name, was ready to kill every Jew so that he can get all the glory. But at the end of the day, the fasting that Esther and the whole tribe did, were in a position to change the tables. What is that driving force? What is that the enemy has put in on your neck that is making you not getting better sleep, that is making your mind rush from here and there? I would ask you this question. Have you tried fasting? Have you tried seeking God to that level best? You know that I am denying myself this because on my strength I cannot do it. But in God's strength, I can be in a position to do it. Because Philippians 2:13 says, it is God who works in us, both to will and to do, that he may achieve his great purpose. So even in this period of fasting, just remember that it is not you. It is God who is working in you, both to will